The hotel lobby shimmered with gold light and soft jazz, filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the quiet arrogance of the rich. But in the middle of that elegant chaos stood Clara Hayes, clutching her purse like a lifeline. Her ex was here, with his new fiancé, and everyone from her old office was watching. Her heart pounded as she scanned the room, panic tightening in her throat. She couldn't let them see her alone, not tonight, not after months of being whispered about as the one he left behind. She turned to leave, but fate decided otherwise, because that's when she saw him. He sat near the bar, tall, composed, and too sharply dressed to be ordinary. His navy suit fit him like it had been sewn straight onto his frame. He looked up from his drink just as her eyes found him. For a heartbeat, neither of them moved. Then, without thinking, Clara walked straight toward him, her heels echoing against marble. "Excuse me," she blurted, her voice trembling. "This is going to sound insane, but could you pretend to be my date for about 2 hours?" The man blinked, caught off guard, and then smiled. A slow, curious smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "That might be the most unusual question I've heard all week," he said smoothly. "But sure, why not?" She exhaled, relief flooding through her. "Thank you. You just saved me from total humiliation." He rose gracefully, extending a hand. "Ethan," he said. "Ethan Cole." She shook it, noticing the quiet authority in his touch, the confidence of someone who wasn't easily surprised. As they walked toward the ballroom, he leaned closer and whispered, "You owe me a story later." Clara nodded quickly. "Deal." For the first time that evening, she felt her heart steady. Inside, heads turned as they entered. Clara held her chin high, Ethan's hand resting lightly on her back. She could feel eyes burning holes in her dress, and the smirk of her ex, Daniel, from across the room. His fiancé, a model with the smile of someone who'd never faced heartbreak, leaned in to whisper something that made him laugh. Clara's throat tightened. But before she could falter, Ethan squeezed her hand gently. "Smile," he murmured. "Let them wonder why." She turned to him, forcing a grin, and then nearly forgot how to breathe. Because Ethan wasn't pretending anymore. His gaze lingered on her with a warmth that didn't feel like an act. When Daniel walked over moments later, feigning casual charm, Ethan's demeanor shifted, subtly but completely. He extended his hand first. "Ethan Cole," he said smoothly. "Clara's date." Daniel hesitated, recognition flickering across his face. "Wait, Ethan Cole? From Cole Enterprises?" Ethan's polite smile didn't waver. "The very one?" Clara froze. Her fake date was one of the most powerful CEOs in the country. The room buzzed as Daniel's confidence visibly cracked. I didn't realize Clara was seeing someone like you," he stammered. Ethan tilted his head, his tone effortless but sharp. "Neither did I, until tonight." Clara nearly choked on her drink, but the corner of Ethan's mouth twitched in amusement. He leaned closer to her, whispering so only she could hear. "Relax. I'm very good at pretending." But there was something in his eyes, something that made her wonder if he truly was pretending at all. As the night went on, Ethan didn't leave her side. He laughed at her awkward jokes, guided her through the crowd, even danced with her under the soft glow of chandeliers. Every time she thought the act was over, he found another reason to keep it going. And when she finally caught her reflection in the mirror, she realized she didn't look like the broken woman who'd walked in. She looked happy, alive. By the end of the evening, Daniel and his fiancée were long gone, and most of the guests had drifted home. But Clara and Ethan stayed, two strangers who'd shared a performance that somehow felt too real. As they stood on the balcony overlooking the city, she turned to him. "You didn't have to do all that," she said softly. Ethan smiled faintly. "Maybe I wanted to." She laughed nervously. "You're full of surprises, Mr. Cole." He looked at her for a long moment, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. "You have no idea," he murmured. And before Clara could respond, he added quietly, "This wasn't just pretending for me." The night air outside the ballroom was cool and scented with roses from the hotel garden. Clara leaned on the marble railing, her heart still racing. She didn't know if it was from the music, the champagne, or the man standing beside her. The man who, with one smile, had changed how she felt about herself. Ethan Cole. The name alone made headlines in every business magazine, yet here he was, laughing softly at her nervous rambling, his jacket draped over her shoulders like it belonged there. "So," he said, breaking the silence, "are you going to tell me why you needed a fake date tonight, or should I just keep guessing?" His tone was teasing, but his eyes were curious, searching. Clara bit her lip, embarrassed. "It's stupid, really," she began. "My ex-fiancé, the guy I used to work with, he's here tonight. He's the reason I left my old job, the reason everyone whispered behind my back. He cheated on me and now he's engaged to someone from the same company. I just didn't want them to think I was still broken." Ethan's expression softened. He didn't interrupt, didn't offer the usual hollow sympathy. He simply nodded. "So you decided to hire a stand-in?" She smiled faintly. "Not hire. Beg. You just happened to be the most confident stranger I'd seen in a room full of smug couples." Ethan chuckled. "I've been called worse." Then more gently, "You don't have to prove anything to them, Clara." The way he said her name, quiet, sure, made her pulse skip. "I know," she said softly. "But sometimes it's not about proving it to them. It's about proving it to yourself." He looked at her then, really looked. And for a fleeting second, the carefully constructed walls around both of them seemed to fade. When he offered to walk her home, she almost refused. Pride, fear, habit. But something in his calm confidence made her nod. They strolled down the city street, lights glowing like golden threads overhead. "So a CEO, huh?" she said finally. "And yet you agreed to play my fake boyfriend for an evening?" Ethan smiled sideways. "Believe it or not, I wasn't always a CEO. And besides, you looked like someone who needed saving." She laughed softly. "You have no idea how much that helped me tonight." "Actually," he murmured, "I think I do." As they reached her apartment building, Clara hesitated at the steps. "Thank you, Ethan, really," he nodded. "Any time." But as she turned to go, he added quietly, "You said your ex worked at your old company." "Which one was that?" "Horizon Development," she replied, glancing back. "Why?" His expression flickered, a subtle tightening, gone almost too fast to notice. "No reason," he said lightly. "Just curious." She didn't think much of it then. But later that night, when she replayed the evening in her head, she remembered the brief shadow that had crossed his eyes. Because Ethan Cole knew exactly who owned Horizon Development. It was a subsidiary of Cole Enterprises, his company. The man who had broken her heart, Daniel Cross, had once been a senior executive under Ethan's direct supervision. And years ago, when Daniel's project funding had been cut, it was Ethan who had signed the papers. He hadn't known the details back then. Hadn't known the fallout, the layoffs, the betrayals, the woman whose life had quietly fallen apart in the aftermath. Now, standing in his penthouse with the city sprawling beneath him, Ethan realized the woman he'd just walked home wasn't just a stranger he'd met by chance. She was part of a story he'd unknowingly helped write, one filled with pain he had indirectly caused. His hand tightened around the glass in his grip. Fate had a strange sense of humor. He looked out at the skyline, her laughter still echoing in his mind, and made a silent vow. This time, he wasn't going to walk away. Whatever it took, he would make things right, even if she never found out the truth. Because for the first time in years, the billionaire who had everything finally wanted something real.